Hello, you guys. This is your girl Najma. Welcome back to my channel. In order to talk about this failure with the producers of Independence Day 2, or whatever you call it, Independence Day revival, sequel, prequel, I don't even know. These days, everything is just like, ugh. Okay, anyway, the fact that this Independence Day revival chose to not integrate Will Smith in this, I just want to argue is a part of a bigger problem that has to do with systemic racism. People hate to talk about it, but at the same time, we got to talk about it because this is what it's rooted in. For me, my level of frustration is like when you look at franchises, because Will Smith, we can argue that he's really like a really good franchise actor, and he's a big representative of the African American Hollywood population, like Black Hollywood, however you want to call it, because we just don't have that many, especially Black male actors, that Hollywood just, not on the same scale as their white counterparts. And there's long been discussion about this. I recently did a video about Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx is having heart issues, that just the stress of this, of trying to live up to this, trying to be perfect. And when you're not perfect, especially since we're all human, failing, and you very quickly getting canceled, it's so bizarre to me. You guys hear me talk about Johnny Depp with Amber Heard in my other videos. Johnny Depp didn't get canceled. You have here somebody who's abusing drugs, who is abusing women, drugs, women, anything he can abuse, he's abusing. And he has not been canceled. But you keep looking around and you see, Black Hollywood, especially male Black Hollywood, keeps getting canceled. I wonder what's going on. Now, I have to caveat this with saying, when the whole debacle between Chris Rock and Will Smith happened, you know exactly where I was. Go back and look at my other videos. You know where I was. Chris Rock should have never made those cracks about Jada Pinkett Smith. And it's going back. If you look back in time, he had made many cracks at her expense. And she's battling an illness, He's making cracks about her bald head, and she's battling alopecia, and he's making cracks at her expense. I think this goes deeper. This goes to like a fragile masculine ego type thing. She has her own podcast, Red Table Talk. She's very, very established in her career. She's a part of a power couple. I think that Chris Rock really, that wasn't about alopecia. It wasn't about a G.I. Jane joke. It's about some fragile masculinity that probably goes back years. Stay with me now. I know I'm kind of all over the place. But I have to come back to this Chris Rock thing and this Will Smith thing because over the past decade, I kept seeing Black actors, it's like we had got to this wonderful point in history where Hallmark's wonderful, souvenirs like Will Smith could exist. We could have the guy on television who was playing a positive role model, coming from a functional family. You could have the guy who was playing a superhero who was actually a Black person. You don't see many of the franchises. I mean, I can name so many off the back of my head. Superman, Spider-Man, Daredevil, what's it called? What's Ryan Reynolds called? Anyway, the Terminator, Rocky. I can name so many of them, right? White male leads. And Will Smith, the one guy that we've got, the one guy that the Black community has got, who's managed to show, hey, Black men can be functional, they can be a healthy part of society, and we can play superheroes, like the one guy that we got, Hollywood subtly tries to cancel. Okay, so when that Chris Rock thing happened, I don't know if Chris Rock is a plant for like some super conservative, rich white execs. I don't know if he's like a Clarence Thomas type thing. I don't know if he just really hates Jada and Will. I don't know if, he's jealous of Will Smith. Maybe he sees Will Smith as someone who's like, because Chris Rock, his jokes, his humor is quite dark. It's quite negative. And Will Smith has managed to break into comedy, into drama, into superhero movies, into sitcoms, into family TV, all a portfolio, a breadth of wonderful, beautiful work that Chris Rock hasn't, and he's been able to do it all with a smile, basically. He's been able to do it all with a positive message. And so when that Chris Rock debacle and Will Smith debacle happened, I was behind Will Smith. You guys can call me what you want. Oh, you're condoning abuse, whatever. No, he came after the dude's wife. It was something that he had done repeatedly. And Will Smith, of course, nobody condones touching somebody else. You know, he shouldn't have hit him, but he was provoked. You know, he was provoked. And the fact that Denzel Washington came to Will Smith's aid, you know, I think that, and Denzel Washington is another example of those. Denzel Washington has managed to keep God on his side. He's managed to stay positive, and I think that's kind of how you navigate this. In the end, maybe it'll earn you more money, maybe it will earn you less money. I mean, I think it just really all depends. But Will Smith is an amazing actor. You know, it's not like he's just gotten all the roles that he's gotten because, I don't know. I don't even know. But he's an amazing actor. And something that I noticed, you know, was when the Chris Rock and Will Smith thing happened, I would go up into comments of places. And I would see people talking about, I never liked Will Smith, you know. He's not even a good actor. He's an abuser. It's never right to abuse somebody. You shouldn't have done abuse. Chris Rock is way funnier than Will Smith, etc., etc. So something clicked with me last year. I was like, dang, so many black amazing actors, musicians, artists in Hollywood just keep getting canceled, and I can't put my finger on it. And when I go and I look at the comments of all the trolls who are attacking them, the way that people attacked Will Smith with Chris Rock, you know, not saying you should condone violence, but you should at least be able to see where the dude was coming from. Nameless, faceless profiles. Nameless, faceless profiles. It started to click to me. When Donald Trump became president, when he started running for president, all of a sudden, nameless, faceless people started sending a lot of hate towards black people in Hollywood, black influencers, black artists, all of this stuff. But again, nameless, faceless profiles. And eventually you saw what they were saying and you just took it for truth. You were like, oh, okay, so I just take it for truth. It doesn't, I mean, most of these people behind these nameless, faceless profiles are probably white. I mean, that's what I'm getting to. They're probably white. I mean, I don't know. I cannot fully speculate. But I have a feeling that something really sinister, insidious is going on right now. When Donald Trump came into the forefront of politics, he let out this whole just cesspool of bigotry, racism, sexism, and it was so subtle, you know. And if you go and look on YouTube, look up the Democracy Now! Special that talks about how Donald Trump shows all the signs of a cult leader. One of the attributes of a cult leader is it's slow. They plant all of these seeds, and then they make it where you build up loyalty to that cult leader, and then you can't really see any other worldview outside of that. You know, so slowly, Black Hollywood keeps getting canceled, but people are saying that it's their own fault because they did this and they did that. But you look at figures like Johnny Depp, and he's not canceled. So anyway, all of that just to say, since I finally started putting these puzzle pieces together, maybe some of you are smarter than me. Maybe some of you put these puzzle pieces together a long time ago. But for me, I only just recently kind of put the puzzle pieces together. But now, when I look at it, I'm like, no. No, not buying it. So anyway, thank goodness for Vivicaafox. Because what Vivicaafox says, what I just said, in so many words, you know, but not really saying, she says it, but she doesn't really say it. But we know, as we continue to just sort of take back the word woke, Black people need to just go ahead and take the word woke back, you know, and we sort of wake ourselves up to this subtle, insidious nature of bigotry, you know, racism, and how just Black Hollywood does not, they're not afforded the same privileges as white Hollywood. You know, I think we'll wake up to this. And Hollywood is really doing itself a disservice. We've talked about that fact that they're losing $10 billion a year because they're not embracing diversity. They're really doing themselves a disservice. You know, I see it where, you know, and even if they start to really show more representation of black people and people of color in the media, less as tokens, you know, for so long, Will Smith has been a token, you know, before Idris Elba came onto the scene and Omar Epps and all of these other guys who kind of can be lumped into the same category as Will Smith as like really, really accomplished male black actors. Before they really came onto the scene, Will Smith is all that we had. And I feel like now as we've gotten the Omar Epps, we've gotten the Idris Elbas, now they're starting to try to do the same thing. You know, it's somehow weirdly it's like not too many black actors in Hollywood can come through at one time, and especially not black men. We like Hollywood has to show black men as the thugs, as this, as that. But we can't have too many black men playing superheroes or, you know, the positive male leads. We can't have that. Anyway, so Vivica Fox admits 2016 Independence sequel missed out by not bringing Will Smith back. And this article is from July 5th, 2023. It says Vivica A. Fox returned for director Roland Emmerich's Independence Day resurgence in 2016. Vivica A. Fox thought the Independence Day sequel was lacking without Will Smith. And I never saw this sequel, prequel, you know, resurgence, revival, whatever you want to call it. I never saw it. And probably one of the reasons I never saw it is because it didn't have Will Smith. Anyway, to proceed. It says Fox reprised her role of Jasmine Hiller in 2016's Independence Day resurgence, 20 years after the 1996 original film, the 1996 original film. It goes on to say, while director Roland Emmerich and several other cast members returned, Bill Pullman, Jeff Goldblum, Judd Hirsch, and Brent Spiner were all back, Smith did not reprise his role as Captain Stephen Hiller. So let me come back to that thing about, you know, just setting other examples how there are double standards for white actors and black actors in Hollywood. You look at Rocky, you look at The Terminator, and Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger are in pretty much every one of those franchises. But we can't have the same thing with Will Smith. No, definitely not. And all of the times that he's played superheroes, I haven't seen those roles or those movies really revived with him. So the article goes on to say, I just didn't feel like it was good and it lived up to the first one. Of course not. None of these movies today live up to the first ones because in the late 90s, we had gotten actually to a really good place with diversity, I think. And a lot of that is being lost. Comes back to Donald Trump. Comes back to an uprising generally of fascism and authoritarianism, this covert form of racism and all types of stuff, misogyny, sexism, xenophobia, homophobia. It comes back to a lot of stuff that the roots of that, all of that stuff is there from centuries. But I feel like the country had gotten to a great place in the late 90s and gotten to a great place with Obama. And now in 2023, it's like we have regressed. So, Fox 58 said to AV Club, I really feel we missed out by not bringing Will Smith back. She goes on to say, we had most of the original cast on, but I think the one true link that was missing to the success of Independence Day 2 was that Will Smith wasn't there, she continued. It goes on to say, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to keep it real. I was at the premiere and I was like, let's see how the fans are going to feel about this. And sure enough, on Twitter, they blew me up, said Fox. So it goes on to say that Will Smith dropped out, you know, which, you know, this is the statement that Emmerich said, the director said. So he said that they rewrote the script for the sequel in 2 weeks after Smith dropped out of the project. I'm proud of Independence Day resurgence, but we had one problem. Will Smith decided while we were preparing to drop out. That was a huge blow to me, he said. At that point, I had to decide, should I keep going or not? I realized we had spent 10 million or 12 million, and you don't drop out easily. Now, let me just hold there and say, I really don't feel like Will Smith would have dropped out. He's such a devoted actor. He's so devoted to his craft. Look at Men in Black. Look at the Bad Boys franchises. He's committed to his projects. So my question would then be, what was going on the set? We hear about now one of my favorite shows ever, Lost, which seems really diverse, had rampant racism going on the set. So my question then would be, what was it that made Will Smith drop out? You know what? Vivica probably knows. She probably knows. Anyway, okay, so it goes on to say, Emmerich, prior to that, told Yahoo Movies UK in 2019 that he regretted moving forward with the film. He goes, I just wanted to make a movie exactly like the first, but then in the middle of production, Will opted out because he wanted to do Suicide Squad. I should have stopped making the movie because we had a much better script, said Emmerich, also known for movies like 2012, The Day After Tomorrow, and White House Down. After I had to really fast cobble together another script, I should have just said no, because all of a sudden I was making something I criticized myself, a sequel, he said. So I guarantee you, if we dug a little bit deeper, I don't know if the film, if the writers were kind of trying to whitewash stuff. I don't know if because a lot of the movies today, they really just, I don't know, they don't want to address race in a way that was a little bit more natural back in the late 90s. The time that the original Independence Day film came out, I don't know if we can get back to kind of the authenticity of that. But yeah, to me something else was going on. I don't buy it that Will Smith just wanted to do Suicide Squad in that. Let me pause there and just say, yeah, you should have stopped. You should have either postponed, maybe it would have cost you a little bit of money in the middle of production, but perhaps after that, Will Smith would have came back. He seems like a very, very reasonable person. I'm pretty sure after filming Suicide Squad, he would have been, available to come back. But I feel like in this day and age of instant gratification, not just Hollywood, but corporations, period, and just the entity of corporations itself does that. It makes all of these weird decisions that ultimately don't go very well for the whole sort of ecosystem of things. But anyway, guys, I would love to know what you think in the comments. Let me know. If you're new here, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, hit that bell so you know whenever I post a video, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye!